you've been talking about the P. Diddy stuff for a very, very long time. I mean, say, by modern standards, a long time. By the media standards, a long time.
By Liz Crokin standards, I'm brand new to the scene. But by like the public masses standards, I was like on like the beat right away.
Who is Liz Crokin?
Liz Crokin deserves a ton of like credit for this whole thing. And she's not the only one, but she's taken so many arrows. She is like the Pizzagate journalist, and that's how she gets smeared. She was a Hollywood reporter, like a total like in the in crowd for a decade or whatever. I don't know how long. And she was at all the parties. She's reported on these people like in person because she used to be in the crowd. And then I think it was Pizzagate that broke, and she started to investigate like what's going on here. And then she got blacklisted. She got pushed out. She got slandered. They eventually tried to kill her dog. She's been smeared 10 ways till Sunday, legally attacked, monetarily attacked.
How did they try to kill her dog?
I believe poisoning. You'd have to go to her page and look it up, but she's been reporting on how corrupt these people are. She's been reporting on Jay-Z and his crimes for like 8 years now. She's been deep in these trenches.
This is what blows my mind about all of it. Nothing is new about it.
No,
and when the Harvey Weinstein broke, nothing was new about it to everyone on the know. Yeah. And it was they say a badly kept secret, which is not a secret. Yeah. It was known. With Jay-Z, we're going to get into it. I don't know these things because I don't care for his music. Yeah. I don't know if that's a sacrilege. But everyone's like, yeah, everyone knew about it. It was the worst kept secret.
Yeah.
So Liz Crokin is she's in this, living it, and been talking about it for years while no one's listening.
Exactly. But there is one really new thing that broke with the Diddy case, and this is a big part of what kind of blew me up on the Diddy thing too, because I had just gotten on X when the really salacious Diddy lawsuit first dropped, the Lil Rod lawsuit. That was the first time that we had what looked like clear evidence of a blackmail ring.
And I'll stop you. I got to stop you, not to be rude, just so that because you're presuming knowledge that I think many people might not have. I think most people are very familiar with the Diddy video of him assaulting
Cassie.
Yeah. So Cassie was an ex-girlfriend. He comes out in a bathrobe. That video went viral. Yeah. Was that the first initial big break to mainstream this?
That was the big one. So Cassie filed a lawsuit like a year ago or more now, and this is before the video came out. Yeah. But she filed a lawsuit that civil suit that included all the kind of stuff that was shown in that video and much, much more. Super dark, really depressing and sad read. And very brave of her to file and to actually go public with, because we know that like allegedly Diddy has killed people before. And he did not settle immediately. It sat out there for like 3 days or something like that before he settled it and kind of quashed it with some silence there. But it was out long enough. And then the settling kind of like told everyone, hey, if you're a Diddy victim, you can get money from him because now we're settling suits. And so then this wave of lawsuits from former victims came in. And eventually, like 8 months later, one of those was a producer named Lil Rod. And Lil Rod had worked with him for a specific period of time. And this is what broke like beginning of this year, I believe. And Lil Rod's lawsuit was the one that named like the executives at Universal Music Group, the Universal Music Group itself. They named Diddy and his co-associates, and it talked about the cameras that his houses are wired up with. It talked about trafficking people. It had all this evidence within it, and it's not litigated yet. It became the part of the basis of what's going on now is the RICO case that he's criminally charged with, though a lot of that is from the Cassie suit. But in that suit, Lil Rod said that he had evidence and alleged that Diddy is basically running a sexual blackmail operation very similar to Jeffrey Epstein. And that was not something that was exactly rumored in the public. Like people had kind of whispered about it, but it was not like that. And then I accidentally, like one of my followers put me on the trail of Diddy's head of security was Michael Jackson's head of security when Michael Jackson died. And that connection opened up all these other questions of like, are we looking at mob level, like control of the music industry? And now when you look at Jay-Z's lawyer, there's this whole other funny rabbit hole with it. So we started to see that maybe this is not just perverted sickos being rich and mean. Maybe this is like a way bigger operation designed to either control American culture or to control the money and the music industry. Like I personally think it's partially to control American culture and partially to control a lot of money laundering, but we don't know yet.
Cassidy is the video that video was from the lawsuit. The lawsuit was settled, and then somehow that video was leaked later.
Yeah. So the video was not necessarily mentioned. It wasn't mentioned in her suit, but she I believe in the suit she described that day.
And from what I understand, someone saw that video and was so repulsed by it. That was the person who leaked it.
I don't remember who, but yeah, I think it was something like someone in the hotel or something like that. Someone, inevitably these things leak.
Okay, so then Lil Rod. Yeah. So he's alleging the same things because the allegations are that Diddy does this with boys and girls.
Yeah, I mean, the allegations are boys and girls is more gay than straight. And that what Diddy really likes to do with girls is he likes to watch really big black dudes have sex with his girlfriend. And he masturbates while he watches and is basically like a porno director, and then all sorts of other abuse around that. And we don't have, thankfully, any graphic descriptions of what he's doing with the kids, but there are kids as young as 10 that are bringing suits against him now that they were drugged and raped by him. And this is my speculation based upon reporting from people like Liz and reporting from lots of other people in the industry and the rumor mill. But it sounds like the stuff that's happening with kids is far darker than just like a little. I mean, obviously it's kids, but it's like it sounds like it's verging
more deeply intertwined with broader industries or broader,
possibly satanic, certainly like somewhat blackmail-y. Like the moment that you start having adults raping 10-year-olds, you're in a whole different world of perversion, and that perversion starts to verge on like lots of really dark conclusions that are inevitable to draw. And Jay-Z's accuser, the first Jay-Z accuser, I think, is alleging that they were 13 at the time of the rape.
20 years, and it's 20 years ago, give or take.
Yeah. I was at a party after, like the after party after like the VMA Music Awards or something like that. I forget off the top of my head. But basically, like the after party of the big events. This is happening like in the mainstream Hollywood music industry world. It's not like it's happening on some private island off in the Bahamas.
I get almost physically ill, but I've been saying it. You say it jokingly, like Hollywood and the music industry, politics as well, as like a cesspool of satanic depravity.
Yeah,
and it doesn't. It's not even scratching the surface. And now we're sort of getting a glimpse into this because it is the lawsuit. I don't know what it's a Jane Doe who's filed it. It's a civil suit, Southern District of New York, filed in October, but amended yesterday or over the weekend to add.
And it's one of the Tony Busby lawsuits, and Tony Busby is a very high-powered, very high-profile.
He was Greg, not Greg Abbott. Is it Greg Abbott?
Yeah.
Greg Abbott's attorney in the impeachment.
In Texas, yeah.
I'm getting this.
He also he was in the Deepwater Horizon oil spill. Like he has done a ton of big litigation over the years. And
from what I understand, and not a huge trying to think of. A bad reputation, not like an Al Sharpton huge reputation, like reputable, respected.
The attorney that brought the Lil Rod lawsuit that was really salacious, he had a slightly more like attackable resume. That brought a little that
you could say it's opportunistic, maybe seeking a civil settlement.
Yeah, could be. But Busby is not that. Busby is a little bit more unimpeachable, and he very directly, famous, like this press conference went pretty viral where he said like big names will be named. We have hard evidence. We have videos. We're coming after everybody. He was saying that like executives at big companies are going down. Famous celebrities, people are going down. I think Jay-Z is just the first of many names.
And so the allegations are that he and Diddy were doing these things, not in broad daylight, but in broad public awareness in the after parties.
Exactly.
There's things I want to look into in terms of statute of limitations for certain crimes, because did you of course you did. It was in your video. Mm-hmm. I'm getting mixed up between Jay-Z and Diddy. Mm-hmm. Jay-Z writes a very, very wordy, methinks he doth protesteth too much, except he didn't actually deny anything specifically. Yeah. I was like, bring criminal charges. Which
let's go to criminal court. Okay.
But the thing I'm thinking about is like, I don't know what the statute of limitations is for that type of crime. It might be 15 years, it might be 20 years. If she's a minor, does it start to accrue as of adulthood, or are there methods of tolling?
No lawyer,
no, that's it. And these are questions that I would have in terms of like, is there a tolling of a criminal prescription statute of limitations if the woman was threatened or whatever? I assume there have to exist some exceptions, but it might be him thinking 2D level chess. It's beyond the statute of limitations. Let me say, go after me criminally, thinking that it can't be done. But meanwhile, the civil suit has been filed and alleges evil, period.
Yeah. And he is used to having protection. Diddy was used to having protection. And he seems to be operating still on this aura of I'm untouchable. But like, if like my speculation only, is that if Jay-Z was committing these crimes 20 years ago, he was committing these exact same crimes 2 months ago. And Diddy was filming all of it up until 9 months ago. There's lots of tapes.
Yeah, where is the tapes? I mean, this goes back to...
They raided it all, and so someone's got them. And when Diddy's civil suits turned into a criminal charge and he got arrested, that criminal charge is structured as a RICO investigation. And at first they just named Diddy as well as his like direct co-conspirators, but it is structured in a way that we commonly see that they do with RICO suits, where they start with the one and then they add to it and they add to it and they add to it over time. And I from what's in that suit, it appears that is the exact same group that has whatever they got from those raids and is that larger picture investigation. And so I suspect that Jay-Z is only a matter of time, and a lot of the other accomplices. But the thing is that's important to realize is that they were both very good friends with the Obamas. They both, like Diddy campaigned for Kamala. Like they're both associated with the Clintons. Jay-Z has a great photo on the internet of him and Marina Abramovich hanging out like head to head.
Marina Abramovich is the one who did the spirit cooking, which was supposed to be an art. It was only an art exhibit. It wasn't actually talking about
came up
cutting
big during
yourself.
Pizzagate. So they're tied into all. This is
when it gets to be too much. Like I've dabbled in Pizzagate. I know of the Podestas, and I know of the someone left a handkerchief with a map related, a pizza related map on it. Like, and then you get to this now, which reeks of Epstein level extortion depravity, and it's actually it's two subsidiaries of the same company. Is what I'm coming to the conclusion.
Exactly right. It's two subsidiaries of the same organized crime network, because organized crime has always been a huge force in this world. And in organized crime, I'm sure there's hierarchies, right? I'm no expert, but I try my best to learn. And if you just think about it, there's the drug runners, there's the gun runners, there's the human traffickers, and whoever is the most powerful in that group are the ones that can control the legal authorities, right? You go back to the 40s, like the mob era, the ones that were the most powerful were Meyer Lansky and his mobsters, because they got a photo of J. Edgar Hoover, the director of the FBI, having fellatio with his second in command, Clive Tolson. So they had blackmail on the director of the FBI, who was supposed to investigate the mafia and the mob, right? And so the moment that Meyer Lansky got blackmail on Hoover, they had the FBI under their thumb. And then they formed what was called the International Crime Syndicate, where they merged the mob and the mafia, and then they just ran the country for like 40 years with no FBI investigations because they had them under control. And so the human trafficking side of the black markets inherently is the most powerful if they can get their blackmail. And we live in a world where we're learning that they've had blackmail on everyone
for decades. To dictate, not just I made the black pill of like not just foreign policy, climate policy,
every policy,
cultural trends. And so like we breathe. I have to do the tangent. When Epstein was, they raided and they were seizing the videos. In Epstein's case, a lot of it might have been like actual VHS physical recordings.
Tapes.
In Diddy, I suspect a lot of it's going to be digital, which means it's indestructible, so to speak, and probably is in multiple locations already.
It's widely dispersed.
What was the when they raided Epstein, and then there was a couple of days? Was it with you that I was talking about this? Where there were a couple of days where the video's evidence was unsupervised. There was no chain of command.
Yeah.
And so who knows where it went or who has it. It's an amazing thing. Like when the Epstein element was political and scientific, without question.
Yeah. And not just scientific, but like information technology, like AI and digital surveillance, especially, and genetic. He was very into genetics. And it all kind of circles around this like creating a master race. And this sounds ridiculous, but when you actually dig into who he was funding, he literally was hosting. This is why Stephen Hawking showed up in some of the Epstein stuff, because he was hosting all the world's best scientists on his island for private conferences.
And we're talking the island. What was it called now?
The Epstein Island. Little St. James.
Little St. James. And we're talking like Epstein. Lolita down to the island. This is not just like Lolita from New York to Florida. This is the island.
All
scientists,
famous scientists,
secret cameras in every room.
Genetic conferences about the futures of genetics and stuff. Because when you start to amalgamate the people and the things he was interested in, it was genetic engineering of a master race of like superior human beings, digital mass surveillance of everybody else. and sort of like a oligarchical police state where the elites are allowed to do what they want, and the poors are basically living in a technocratic police, like an Orwellian nightmare, really. And it's super dark when you look into it. And when you put that together with his organized crime, sexual blackmail connections, and I mean, he was an Israeli operation. He was an Israeli intelligence operation. His handler was Ehud Barak, the former prime minister of Israel. I remember he spent Ehud. Like 10 to 20 years in the IDF as, for a long time, the head of Israeli military intelligence. He was the dude, like he was one of the most seen contacts of Epstein, Ehud Barak, and he went to the island. He went to the mansions. He was clearly the handler. Les Wexner was the bank. It's like when you look at the network, it's very clearly this is Israel, and that's also tied to the CIA because CIA and Mossad have been. Well, so, I mean,
this is where some people take offense to the idea that it goes back to Mossad or Israel, and then others say, well, yeah, but the CIA, Israel, MI6, I think they call them the Five Eyes. Yep. So like. I mean, in a way, if anybody wants to feel less guilty about picking on Israel in particular, it's all of this intelligence, which I'm thoroughly convinced it's a blackmail, extortion, policy dictating insurance policies that they have. But just so we're getting now back to the Jay-Z, back to the P. Diddy, because he's got his political claws, or at least intertwined with the Obamas. Yeah. I think it was Eric Adams who just gave Diddy the keys to New York not long ago. Eric Adams then gets indicted on some random charge, which is not that serious, which he'll fight. The raid comes right before the election, where a bunch of celebs come out of the woodwork to support Kamala Harris. Some get paid, and others might have been doing it for other reasons. I mean, I don't even.
Here's another connection that's pretty fun that I just stumbled across this morning. Liz Crokin was interviewing Jaguar Wright. Jaguar is a former backup singer for Jay-Z. She's been in the industry a long time. She worked with The Roots, and she's a known conspiracy theorist. She's very vocal about all this trash and has been for a long time. And Liz was interviewing her, and Jaguar was like, I've been knowing this. And so this is kind of like convoluted, but Busby, who brought the suit, who just named Jay-Z, he's the lawyer that just named Jay-Z in this suit. Yep. He was getting sued by a sort of an anonymous person somehow. And Jaguar said, oh, I knew that was Jay-Z suing him for months and months and months. Because when you look at the lawyer that's in charge of that suit going back at Busby, it's Jay-Z's lawyer.
Was it a suit based on extortion or threats of accusations?
It was something like that, right? To try to defame the whole process, to try to protect Jay-Z, essentially. It was Jay-Z's lawyer, Alex Spiro. And she's like, I knew that was Jay-Z. So it has since come out that Busby just posted a statement saying Jay-Z is suing us through his lawyer, Alex. Yeah. So that's kind of being confirmed. But at the time, they were trying to obfuscate it under some other entities as though it wasn't Jay-Z. But Jaguar was like, no, it was Alex Spiro. And so it was obviously Jay-Z that's trying to sue ahead of this.
Preemptively.
And when you look into Alex Spiro, the scary part is he is also Elon Musk's lawyer. But he represents Mr. Beast now, that the whole weird pedophile and transgender thing is happening in the Mr. Beast app. That's a scary.
I felt like I was the weirdest person growing up and weird as parents. And I tell my kids, like, we're the normalest people that despite what you think, because there's no normal people left anymore.
No,
at least not in these positions of power, influence, and politics.
They get given the spaces, right? And just another quick hilarious. So this lawyer, Alex Spiro, who is Jay-Z's lawyer, he shows up in all these weird places, including he was the lawyer. He was hired. So you remember Tiger King?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So Carroll Baskin fed her ex-husband to the tigers?
Allegedly. He's never been found, but
allegedly. So that dude's family hired Alex Spiro to try to find him after the Tiger King came out, because it kind of brought new. So this guy's like a celebrity lawyer, and that's just a funny connection. But he's been tied to Jay-Z for a long time. Elon Musk a ton, but then also he's done like big things with Meek Mill and Killer Mike and Yo Gotti, Chance the Rapper. So he's represented this sort of like the famous rappers and all sorts of like defamation stuff. The Tiger King thing, and he's basically been tied to. Oh, he was this attorney for Eric Adams.
It's a big incestuous family.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like interesting. This dude is
Well, he might,
he's one of the guys.
I could see him being one of the lawyers that everybody wants to have.
Once you specialize in it, it makes sense.
Yeah,
I'm not trying to say that he's necessarily dirty. I just thought it was hilarious.
No, it is hilarious, but it's also like everybody in some sense kind of needs a Michael Cohen until they become too much of a liability.
And coming back to Jay-Z and his letter where he's like, I'm the good guy, like you're defaming me. Well, he's trying to countersue in advance to protect himself, but also like Liz and other people are pointing out, like, Jay-Z, you're best friends with Diddy. You're flying around with known human traffickers.
It's not possible that if it's true for one, it's not true for the other, or that they can say I didn't know.
Yeah. And Jay-Z tries to paint himself all nice in the letter as though he like protects children. And he's like, you're the evil one for defaming me. It's like, okay, Jay, like let's go to court. Let's see.
Holy hell. So that's the Jay-Z element to that, which is just added. It's gonna, I mean, I don't know who else. Jay-Z, he's married to.
And that's not to mention what was alleged in the alleged Kim Porter book, which is P. Diddy's dead ex-wife, where this book got published that she allegedly wrote and then put away, like sent out as like a protection file.
How did she die?
Before she got killed, she died of pneumonia.
When?
Very suspicious pneumonia, like 15 years ago or something. Like 10, a while ago. And at first, so this book got published and it went up on Amazon and I bought it before it got taken down and I've got it. I've read it all. It's amazing.
Why did it get taken down?
Well, because it's fake. It's defamatory and
Shut
it's fake.
the front door.
Because Kim Porter's dead, right? So it was published by Jamal T. Millwood on behalf of Kim Porter. Jamal T. Millwood is like an old alias that's kind of associated with Tupac. It's basically like published by Tupac. And then the dude that actually did publish it, eventually he did an interview on the Art of Dialogue podcast, basically coming out to be like, I am the guy that, and he says that the person that had the file, who was the friend of Kim that she'd given it to, she had contacted him. So he's like an attorney that does this kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. So it makes sense that he was chosen. And allegedly, he says that the person that had the blackmail file, the flash drive with all the stuff on it, asked him to use the name Jamal T. Millwood on behalf of Kim because there was a love triangle with Tupac back in the day, whole rabbit hole. But in that book, when you read it, and it's obviously fake, it's all made up, it's totally fake. I don't know. The way they dismissed it so fast is suspicious because in it. Well,
once you understand the trick, and they've done this over and over again with things that we now know were not fake. Yeah. And the more they say it's fake, some might think the less fake it is.
Yeah. And when you watch this Art of Dialogue interview with the dude that has the files, apparently, it's quite convincing, and he's very confident, and he's putting his reputation on the line to say that, like, yes, we do have the files. Yes, there are videos on that flash drive. Yes, they will be released. Yes, this book was written by Kim, and he says that he did very little changing. It's like literally written in Kim's words, and when you read it, it's like it feels like it was written by a woman that was there, that understood all these things, and it's lots of little details about like the murder of Tupac, the murder of Biggie, how Jay-Z entered this. So Jay-Z entered the scene because he was like Biggie Smalls's like little buddy at the time. When Biggie Smalls got killed, Jay-Z, alleged in the book, went to Diddy, who was in charge of the game at that point, and he was managing Biggie. And Jay-Z went to him allegedly, and Kim Porter was allegedly there, and he said, and he ratted on Biggie, and he ratted out that Biggie and Tupac were going to go start their own label, and Diddy was furious, obviously, and Diddy asked him, why are you coming to me with this? And Sean Carter, Jay-Z, was like, because I want to move up. Fuck that Biggie guy. And so allegedly, Jay-Z ratted out Biggie Smalls, and that led to Diddy not protecting him from the hit that killed him. And that's how Jay-Z came onto the scene. And that was the start of Jay-Z and Diddy's really, really close friendship. And they came to rule the rap industry together. And so that book, if it's true, allegedly, really shines a light on their relationship and on Jay-Z's involvement right from the start, and on their relationships with minors right from the start, and them having sex together with each other many times over the years because they both prefer men often.
Oh my goodness. Now I'm putting together a piece of this.
Yeah.
There was a video of Tupac in high school where he came off very, very effeminate.
Very gay.
Yeah. I mean, I say no judgment. It's just, it wasn't hip hop Tupac.
Yeah.
It was like 18-year-old dance class level.
Pop. I don't know what the story is with that video. In the book, Kim Porter alleges that the beef between Diddy and Pac, it alleges that Diddy put the hit out on Pac and basically got Pac and killed Pac.
Yeah.
But in the book, it alleges that Diddy would often ask Kim Porter to have threesomes with men with Diddy. And it started with Al B. Sure, the father of her child. And when she got weirded out,
his name is Al B. Sure.
Yeah.
I feel like it's idiocracy. Well, it's like sure, not sure.
And so the first description of a threesome with Diddy after she had started using butt plugs on him and stuff, and it was all gross. It's a really gross. She alleges that the first time that she was with Al B. Sure and Diddy, that she got super fucking weirded out and had to leave. And she's like, I'm done. I'm not doing this. She left, and they stayed and kept fucking each other. And so that's the theme of Diddy's sexual encounters throughout. And it alleges that he tried to have that happen with Tupac, and Tupac was like, fuck you, I'm not gay. And he like blew it up and like broke it off. And that started a beef between them. And that eventually led to him getting killed. But you see that video and it's like, he looks pretty fucking gay in that video. So I don't know what
what's the word I'm looking for? Definitively effeminate.
Definitively.
What is the book called?
The book is called Kim's Lost Words, and it is no longer available on Amazon. So it's now basically a collector's item. I have a copy. It's in the van.
This is not to like, oh, I'm too important. I don't care enough about the details to read that book.
It's amazing. It's only this long. It takes you like 45 minutes and you're through the whole thing. And it is.
Is it on Audible?
I bet you can find it on.
Okay, but okay, I might have to say I have limited space in my brain. Like, I'm not sure I want to fill it with that, but I think I might have to, for research.
It fills in tons of details. It's super interesting. And especially like I grew up on hip hop. So a lot of that was before I was of age to listen, but I was really into the Northwest hip hop scene. And so I inherently was like looking backwards.
Northwest, never like, so you're the Seattle,
Washington, Seattle.
Who were the hip hop guys?
It's where Macklemore came from.
Okay.
And he was like the one guy that made it out. But there was this whole movement of what was called conscious hip hop at the time, so to speak, of like local artists that were like from the Seattle area and the surrounding area that were like rapping about real shit, like really high quality lyrics and instrumentalism about like, the plight of the inner city and about geopolitics and about, just real shit. But it never broke into mainstream rap, although it was like way fucking better. Like this was the era where like we had DMX and we had Ice Cube and, we had Diddy and Jay-Z. And then we have all these rappers like actually writing amazing lyrics that aren't breaking in because it's a controlled space. And if you're not going to rap about, thugs, guns, hoes, bitches, drugs, you don't get the deal. And you'll notice that the one record that Macklemore went really big on when he signed that deal and he made it to the mainstream, he made it big. All those songs are like about drugs and like thrift shop and like money and making.
No, and ironically, he had that one song about not selling out to the producers who tell him how much he gets at the end of the deal.
Yeah.
Now that you mention all of this, who's controlling the music industry?